tells me to restart. Hey, folks, what happened? Wrong microphone. Sorry about that, folks. Mr. Producer's back, which is great. So starting over, we're going to edit that part out for the archive. Should Christians be taking prop firm challenges? For that matter, is there a biblical principle for trading other people's money? I'm Pepper, and this is the midweek episode of the Godly Trading Podcast, where we get a little more specific into trading topics and how the Bible applies to them. And tonight's topic's kind of a controversial one. So feel free, by the way, to drop your thoughts in the chat. And while you're at it, if anybody out there already uses a prop firm, let me know which one that you like to use. So first of all, if you are here and don't know what a prop firm is, just let me give you a brief explanation. So briefest thing I can say is think of a prop firm as a hedge fund that crowdsources its employees. And typically what they do is they say, hey, you want to trade our money. We're willing to allocate you a portion of our money. So jump through these hoops, abide by our rules, show us that you can trade consistently by getting to these goals and whatnot. And when you make money, then we'll split the profits. And that is usually not usually, it's always for some sort of fee associated with it. And that is one of the things about prop firms that sets them apart from just going and getting a job at BlackRock. You actually pay for the hey, Johnny. By the way, tonight is going to be much more conversational. I have promised Mr. Producer that I will not have such a fragile train of thought that can be derailed. So feel free to talk to me tonight. You're not going to derail me. I forget how we get on this topic, but I was talking today to somebody about prop firms, and much like trading out there in the rest of the world can have a bad reputation as far as being a scam or gambling or whatnot. Prop firms, by the way, the shorthand is prop firm, proprietary trading firm, right? So again, think BlackRock that says, hey, we're going to crowdsource our employees. You want to work for BlackRock or Schwab or EF Hutton? Just fill out these forms and work from home, and we'll see if you can be a remote employee. It's a good way of thinking about it. So in the same way that the trading as a whole can have this negative connotation, prop firms can also have that, especially lately. So just a brief history. My research led me to Top Step being the first one to come on the scene back around 2012. If anybody knows of an older one than that, please let me know. Then sort of in the mid-2010s, we had this explosion. And only a few of those are still around. In fact, the last few years have had somewhat of a purge of a lot of prop firms for various reasons. And it's during this purge that the idea has arisen that, hey, prop firms are scams and that people shouldn't be using them. Especially you Christians shouldn't be using them. So that's what we're here to talk about. There are a few left over from the like I said, the mid 2010s that FTMO was probably one of the biggest ones that is still around. The Fivers also. But we had all these ones pop up. And the main allure of prop firms is access to a larger trading account. So let's say, well, I've got $500 here in my bank account. I can either trade that $500 or I can spend that $500 with Acme Prop Trading account and get a $50,000 account that I can then trade. And now if I successfully pass their challenge, they're called prop firm challenges, they successfully pass their challenge, then I've got $50,000 that they didn't give it to me, but they allow me to trade $50,000 of their money. And we split the profits. And you think, okay, well, 50-50, 70-30, some of them do 90, some of them do 100%. And therein lies the problem. We're going to get there in just a second. But one may think, well, why even bother asking this question? Should Christians be in the prop firm industry? It's just basically, it's free money, it's like leverage. What's the harm? Why not? Well, there are a few areas where I believe that anyone in general and Christians who are being held to a higher standard out there in the trading world specifically, some pitfalls that we can run into when trading a prop firm. Discernment is one of them. Stewardship, gambling, for lack of a better term, and these are sort of in ascending order or descending order of problem. And then idol worship. And idol worship. Well, we'll get there at the end. So I mentioned that there's a bit of a churn, a purge going on right now. And this is where the discernment comes into it. One of the criticisms of prop firms is they had this incredibly low pass rate. Now, none of them publish how many people take a challenge and how many people pass it. None of them do that. So we just sort of have anecdotal evidence based on this. But about 90% of the people who paid their money to take a challenge fail. And as other companies out there saw FTMO and Top Step and the Fivers start to rake in these challenge fees, and I don't know how many are out there. I don't know what the general number is per firm, but hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in money that's just sort of free money. Some unscrupulous ones came on the scene. And ideally, the people who are getting paid, all right, so you pass your challenge, you start making money, and you get your pay cut, right? Not your pay cut, your profit share, your cut of the profit. Ideally, that should be coming from the money that you have made the company. But it came out that a lot of these companies weren't paid. Like, let's say I pass an FTMO challenge. I'm using that as an example. I took an FTMO challenge and I flamed out. Oh my goodness, did I? It's one of the things we talked about Sunday night. We'll talk about it here in a minute. Just absolutely blew it within a very surprising period of time. I may have won a record. Anyway, let's say I take an FTMO challenge, pay my $500, and I pass their 30 days and do whatever, then 30 days and get, I think it's like 10%, 5%, or it was when I took it. And then I go and I start trading. I get my $100,000 account and I start trading it. And I make 5% 1 month. Well, that's $5,000. And we're splitting it 50-50. I should get a check for $2,500. And I do. Well, that $2,500 should be coming from my actual earnings. I traded the pound, the yen, and I traded oil, and I made money off of that. But a lot of these firms were just paying the winners with the money they raked in from all the losers. You paid $500, you blew it, you lost your account, and they just take that money. And when you pay the people on top the entrance fee from the people on the bottom, that's called a thing that has a particular triangle shape to it that the government frowns upon, which is a pyramid scheme. And so that's one of the reasons that a lot of them started going out of business. Too many people started passing these challenges. So from a Christian trader's perspective, there's an awful lot of discernment that is required. I love, by the way, Charles Spurgeon has this fantastic quote about discernment, and I've used this so many times. That discernment is not knowing the difference between right and wrong. Discernment is knowing the difference between right and almost right. That's like if you say, Tom Brady's the best quarterback in the NFL. Well, you're almost right. Drew Brees is in fact the best quarterback in the NFL, but you were almost right. Anyway, that's discernment. So there's this level to say, you really have to do your research, especially nowadays where we have new ones coming on the scene. We've got government regulations that say you're not allowed to trade. You American citizens are not allowed to trade CFDs, contract for differences. We're not going to go down that road and explain all of that. So how are you, Acme prop firm, getting around that to take money from the Americans? Well, they're doing a thing. Is that thing legal? So there's a lot of discernment that goes into it because you don't want to be caught up in a scam. You don't want to be caught up in you don't want to have paid your money, jump through the hoops, done everything the right way, and then have the company go belly up because their business practice was, let's just pay the winners with the money from the losers and let's rake in the rest of it. So there's a lot of discernment that goes on there. This one, I think, this next one, stewardship. I think this one is a growing problem with people who take prop firm challenges, which is not taking it seriously. I use Darwin X. Full disclosure, I trade prop firms. I trade with prop firms, just the one actually, because I've done my due diligence, and I think that well, I like their model the best. Let's just leave it at that. I like them. Not to say that I like the fibers. I used to be with the fibers, and then a thing happened, and all U.S. Traders were bumped off of MT5, and we can't trade with the fiber. Anyway, it's a whole big thing. I won't go into it. But the CEO of Darwinex went out there on social media for about a year and told every single person, we are looking for traders who can make 2 to 3% a month, or maybe he said 1 to 2%. I rounded up to 2% because I can't remember which one he said. So we're looking for traders who can make 2% a month. And so the way I approach it is this: looking at the example from Matthew 25, the parable of the talents. You had these 3 guys. In Luke, it was 10. Matthew, it's 3. And one guy's given, I can't remember if it was 10, 5, and 1 or 5, 2, and 1. I think it was 5, 2, and 1. One guy's given 5 talents, which is like $1 million. One guy's, no, I'm sorry, a talent's $1 million. One guy's given 5, one guy's given 2, one guy's given 1. The first 2 double their money. And this is, by the way, I went today and looked at my YouTube analytics. I shouldn't do because that's the producer's job. And the #1 video on my channel that has the best click-through rate, people see the title and want to watch it, is trading in the Bible. That's such a bad video. Oh, it's PowerPoint. It's death by PowerPoint. The audio is terrible. But anyway, the whole point is that, yes, this is the verse that actually talks about trading. But you think about these guys. They're given money from a very wealthy guy, and he leaves town, and they are on their own. They have money to do with, and the word trading that's in there in Matthew, it says to do business as a trader. Kind of circular Greek interpretation. That's what it is. So they had no oversight other than the reputation of their master, who was off in Timbuktu. And they had to view themselves as stewards of this money, and they had to behave in a way that reflected on their master. They had to, I'm sorry, let me take that back. Not behave in a way that reflected on their master. They had to be aware that everything they did reflected on him. He was the owner of that money. And I think that that's the one sticking point nowadays. People look at this, they kind of look at this as free money. Okay, well, I paid my $50. I paid my $200. That money's gone. Now it's free money. Let me game the system. Let me find some way to I'm not gonna use the word cheat, but I should. To cheat. Acme prop firms rules, get the funded account, then I'll start trading my way. There are people out there on the internet, on the interwebs, that will actually you can pay them to pass your challenge for you, and they turn it over to you, and that's not being a good steward. Whether it's virtual money or real money, we've been given someone else's resources to operate with as if it's ours. And so stewardship, I think, is something that we have to constantly, especially as Christians, have to constantly keep at the forefront of our mind, and not just be flippant about, oh, I blew this account, I got 5 more. I'm gonna try to max out all of these accounts. I'm gonna go max risk to try to get as much money as I can, because who knows if this company will be here in 3 months. I think that there's a trap or a pitfall for us who are called to a higher calling, because it's so disconnected from reality, to not view it as real. Does that make sense? Is this idea of stewardship coming across? Let me know if you're picking up what I'm laying down here. And so I do think that from a Christian perspective, we have to be just vigilant that even if it's virtual money, even if they say from the get-go, we're giving you a virtual account until you pass your challenge, you still have to view it through the lens of, this money belongs to someone else, and I am just a steward. There's a great line from Lord of the Rings that I won't go down that road because that'll derail the entire episode here. So stewardship is a big one, I think, that can trip us up. Gambling. Now, trading by itself already has a bad reputation for, if not it being gambling, it encouraging gambling. And I think, again, that one of the areas to be careful of is because there are so many prop firms out there, and now they have $20 challenges that you could say, well, okay, I blew that account. Let me go to another one. I blew that account. There's a disconnect between you paid for it, that money's gone, and you've had the challenge, you had the account for 2 months now. You sort of forgotten the money you put into it. And so you don't apply the same level of risk management, seriousness to it as you would your own money or your buddy Bob's money who lent it to you. To be honest, one of the reasons I like, and I'm not plugging for DarwinX, one of the reasons I like DarwinX is because it's a subscription model. So every month I see that, I was going to say $40. It's technically speaking, it's 38 euros. So some months it's $40, some months it's 41, some months it's 39. Once it was 37. Depends on the exchange rate between the euro and USD. Anyway, it sort of keeps it in the front of your mind. Hey, this is someone else's money that I am being constantly reminded of. And so we don't go down the road of, let me try this, let me try that. If it doesn't work out, big deal. Have anybody out there ever traded a prop firm, and if you're willing to admit it in the comments, felt like you didn't treat your prop firm account with the same seriousness that you treat your IRA or you treat your own personal trading account? Or has anybody out there ever at least felt the temptation to do things there that you wouldn't otherwise do? Let me know in the chat if that has ever happened to you or someone you know. Go on YouTube and you can find all manner of testimonials from people who talk about how their prop firm challenge went or didn't go. You think, well, of course you blew it. Look at the way you just said you were trading this thing. So I do think that my friend did it. Yep. Somebody else did it. I swear. Let me just give you my personal example. I signed up for FTMO camp. Now, back to on the discernment level, I should have known going into it that FTMO, they're a fine company. They are out of the Czech Republic. By the way, for all of you Awanda, OANDA, Awanda account owners, FTMO bought Awanda. So yeah, that's new. Anyway, at the time, FTMO's rules were you had 30 days to make 10%. And then if you did that, then you had 30 more days to make another 5%. So back on that discernment thing, you have to look at it and say, are the rules for this prop firm going to make me trade differently? There are a lot of firms with some pretty strict rules that you don't know about. And there's some complaints out there that, hey, they changed the rules on me. I got denied my payout because, and again, there you go, my payout, my money. I got denied a payout because they said I broke this rule over here. There are a lot of them. Just bear this in mind when you go out there and look at it. Go look at the specific rules around news, because there are some out there, I would dare say probably half of them, say that you're not allowed to enter or exit a trade within 2 minutes of a news announcement. Well, what if your take profit is set here and the news just happens to trigger it? It's not your fault. Struggling with the amount of rules. Now, yes, prop firms are not regulated at all. So there's nobody, and not that I'm a fan of the government, but there's nobody to watch them and say, hey, no. You can't add a rule willy-nilly in the middle of in the middle of someone taking a challenge. But they do that. And they seem to always do it. By the way, I chose FTMO and the fivers originally because they allowed you to hold a trade over the weekend. Some prop firms say you got to close your trades at the end of the day. The fivers says you can hold your trades over the weekend, except oil. If you can't hold oil over the weekend, so be careful of the rules around these things. But I signed up for an FTMO account, and step one is get a pure demo account from them. And I traded my rules, my strategy worked great. Didn't make 10%. And going into it, I should have known because my strategy doesn't generate 10% a month. So in order for me to now, by the way, FTMO has changed that. But at the time, this was what they did. 10% in 30 days. And the pressure, this is another thing. Be careful of. Are you falling prey to outside pressure on your trading? The worst thing you can ever do is to add pressure to yourself. I have people come to me and say, hey, I've got $10,000. When can I quit my job and trade for a living? And I explain things to them and they never call me back. Right? We don't want to talk to that guy. He told us no. But imagine for yourself, if you sat down at your computer one day and said, all right, I need to buy groceries tomorrow. I need profit today. The minute you do that, you're destined for failure. And so I take a challenge, and this is on me. I took a challenge from FTMO that said, you have 30 days from the day you start to make a 10% profit. Well, my strategy just didn't do it. I thought, you know what? We'll see what happens. So already, I'm not taking it seriously. I'm not being very discerning because I didn't know I was gambling. Absolutely, Johnny. I was gambling. Sorry. I'm not letting my producer do his job. I was gambling. I wasn't taking it seriously. I wasn't being a good steward. I should have just, from a business standpoint, I should let that trade go, but I didn't. I took their demo. Step one is demo completely. Then step two is you pay the money and you start trading the account. Well, demo account was fantastic. I actually made 10% in the first month. That should have been a warning sign to me. Oh, bless my heart. I made 10% that first month on demo. And as soon as the money was paid and the account was open, I traded on Tilt. I was the grand master of trading on Tilt for about 9 days. And then FTMO said, yeah, you're done. You hit your max. There's another one. Max drawdown. 5%. How many guys out there are swing traders and regularly go down 10%? Tell me in the chat, what percent drawdown are you okay with? Not that you want to go there, but if you saw that you were in X% drawdown, you'd be like, that's not great, but I'm okay. Just give me a number in the chat. If you looked at your overall account and you were down, with an open, not that your account has lost that amount of money, but you had trades open and your overall account is in drawdown, which means open equity. Just give me a number in the chat. So this one was like 5% drawdown. And you got to look at them. 5% drawdown. Okay, so in order to meet that, I'm going to have to 6% roughly. Sorry, 6% roughly. Yeah, 5 to 6%. A buddy of mine, I mention him all the time. Brian, I don't know if you're on the chat or not, or if you're watching this. He's the guy. When I reference, there's a trading style for everybody. He does all of his trading on a Monday night at 7 for 1 hour. 15% is nothing for him. He's a swing trader, long-term swing trader. 15% will get you booted out of almost every prop firm. So you've got to be careful with those. So anyway, I go into this FTMO challenge, and as soon as that was the mascot hitting the camera. As soon as I get the account for real, just forget all of my stewardship, forget all of my risk management. Don't include God in it at all. Yes, prop firms have specific rules and you have to follow them. And to a certain extent, you must do what I did not do, which is, okay, let me sit down and plan ahead. Let me be discerning. Let me apply some stewardship. I signed up. I did this one time. I did this only one time. I signed up for the Fivers. They're a company out of Israel, and they're one of the good ones, right? The Fivers and FTMO, although we Americans can't sign up for them right now. It's a whole thing. Won't go into it. I looked at their rules, and their rules said, I think it was like 5% drawdown was the max. So I said, okay, I'm going to change. I'm not change. I'm going to adapt my particular trading strategy, my trade plan, not my strategy, my plan. I'm going to adapt my plan to meet their rules. So my plan called for like every trade was 1% risk. Well, okay. So as not to run afoul of their 5 to 6% max drawdown, I'm going to switch to 0.5% risk per trade. And so I made some adjustments to my trade plan to bring it into alignment with them. Chino says it's because it's real money now when you get funded. So that hope and greed is amplified. We hope it's what I learned was I was trying too hard. Yes, and that's part of the discernment. Pick your prop firm carefully. Be as thorough as you would anything else. But because of how many of them there are and how cheap they are, and now they're going to, once upon a time it was 50% profit split. Now they're like 100% profit split. Well, you can't split if it's 100% because it's all virtual. And anyway, it's getting worse out there. It's hard to separate the wheat from the tares. By the way, I've read my Bible now for 40 years. I still don't know what a tare is, other than a weed. So it's wheat and chaff. Yes, separating as they're growing. It's hard to find the good ones. But yes, suddenly, because I felt pressure, because it was all right. Now it's real. Now I've got a 10% goal and a ticking clock every day in my head. You've got 29 days left. You got 28 days left. You got 20. Just like get that trade, get that trade, get that trade. I switched into gambling mode, and it is so easy to slide sideways. Again, discernment. Discernment is knowing the difference between right and almost right. They give you leverage. That's all. The rest is, and it is leverage. It's absolutely leverage, and there's nothing wrong with leverage. It is a resource that is there for you to use, to choose to use if you want to. It's a tool, like a hammer. Use a hammer for good and for bad. I'm not going to make a Paul Pelosi joke about that. I'm not going to. So in the end, I went from trading right to trading almost right. And I'm so glad I lost the account. I thank God every day I lost that account. And you think, what did he just say? I'm going to say it again. I thank God every day. Well, not every day, because I have forgot about it, because this was 4 years ago, 5 years ago, 5 years ago. I thank God over and over again, at least 5 times, that I lost that account. Why? Because I had a system that in no way, shape, or form generated 10% a month. And if I had passed it, there's the only way I could have done it would be by breaking my rules. And I would have been rewarded for bad behavior. We talk all the time about the 4 different categories of trade. Trade that increases, okay, we'll call it a winning trade. A winning trade where you follow your rules, a losing trade where you follow your rules, a losing trade where you break your rules, and a losing trade where a winning trade where you break your rules. And the worst trade of all is one where you break your rules and you make money because you're getting rewarded for bad behavior. So I absolutely am grateful that I did not pass that FTMO challenge. I can't tell you guys, people. I had a lady, side note, I had 2 ladies comment very negatively, not negatively, loudly, on my ad on Facebook. Why is it just for fathers? Why can't us ladies read your book? That's my bad. I'm working on it. I can't tell you folks how loudly that countdown clock was ticking in my head. One of the reasons I switched to the Fivers was because they had no time limit on their thing. So you've really got to look into all these things when you get started, and don't just look at the rules and and how their company is set up. Look at them through the lens of, are they going to make me a better trader or not? And what's the definition of a better trader? Is using this resource going to allow me to point more people to God or not? If Johnny says, one thought I've been having, I should learn how to read. One thought I've been having about the prop is it comes across as giving you something greater than your money value actually is, that I'm considering to be biblically easy money. One could argue it's kind of like margin. It's kind of like borrowing money. Absolutely. And let me just go ahead and dive into, because we're further along than I thought we'd be, the final point I made originally, which is idol worship. That's a big one, I know. There's a comment, there's a quote I saw. Just because it's available doesn't mean it's biblical. Absolutely true. What do I mean by idol worship? We can put our faith in our prop firms instead of where our faith belongs in the first place. Faithfulness in someone else's capital is kind of like a test of the readiness for our own capital. So all too often we can say, oh, well, I don't have any money, I'll just get a prop firm. And if I blow that, I'll get another one. If I blow that, I'll get another one. I'm just gonna do all of that and get all of this money from them. Put all my eggs in one basket. Now, having said that, the reality right now is that as Americans, we may have to put all our eggs in one basket, prop firm wise, because there aren't that many that allow U.S. traders. But if you can view a prop firm as, keep it in its appropriate box, in its appropriate place, you're setting yourself up for keeping your eyes off of it and keeping your eyes on God. Even with prop firms, this is very hard. You have to train yourself to limit your trades. Absolutely. As long as it brings others to God, that's the most important thing at the end of the day. Not flexing payout screenshots or screenshots of the trader lifestyle. Oh my goodness, I don't even want to go down that road, because I have ranted and raved about social media. But as someone who has the logo Godly Trading, right, and I have to be wary of how people see me in trading my money, someone else's money, a prop firm's money. There's a verse, flee from the appearance of evil. I don't know where that is. I'm really hoping that was an actual verse. I saw this, by the way, quote, God will never give you success in trading if it costs you obedience in life. And to YouTube users' point, even with, click that last one up there if you would, even with prop firms, it's very hard. You have to train yourself to limit your trades. Yes. Funding doesn't fix a faith problem. So at the end of the day, if we view our trading as a spiritual exercise, and if we view our trading journey as a spiritual journey, I think that will give us fantastic. I'm glad to know that these thoughts that bubble up in my head actually do come from somewhere. 1 Thessalonians 5:22. Thank you, Johnny. Thank you, Johnny. So to answer the question, should a Christian use prop firms? Use a prop firm? I would say, should a Christian trader use a prop firm? I would say this, that in the same way, a Christian who has never had a drop of alcohol in his life probably wouldn't have a problem with drinking a glass of champagne at a wedding. But a Christian who's a former alcoholic should not. That whether you use a prop firm or not is going to depend on your level of maturity in both of those words in the title of your calling. We are called to be good stewards of the resources God gives us. We are Christian traders. And by the way, if you're here and you're not a Christian, you're a member of another faith, I use the Klingon religion as the placeholder for other faiths. Adhere to that faith. We're godly trading. Anyway, your maturity level at being a Christian and being a trader will determine your readiness for this, because it is a tool. Yes, it is just a tool, but it is a tool sitting at the top of a slippery slope, and you can stand there at the top of that slope and never fall down. But you can also you can also reach for that tool over and over and over again, replacing your faith and trust in God in the next prop firm challenge, and find yourself at the bottom of a pit. I'm not going to go into the pit story tonight. So again, full disclosure, I do trade with a prop firm. Now, Darwin X is not a pure prop firm. They are slightly different. You'll have to read their instructions to find out why. Make sure that what you are doing complies with the laws of the land and won't damage your witness. I'm not going to. Nothing we can do if the company we're with suddenly goes belly up because the CEO was embezzling. That's not what I'm talking about. But we can already tell if they're giving you 100% payouts, and they've changed their payout rules 3 times already in the last 2 years. If they sound sketchy, that's not something that we want to attach ourselves to. There's a verse in Matthew that I am trying my best to use as the motto of our company. Not a good man leaves an inheritance to his children. That's the motto of trading. As a father, in air quotes, meaning anyone in charge of a family, mothers included, but godly trading specifically. It's from Matthew somewhere, and it says, "Let your light so shine before men that they see your good works and give glory to the Father." And that's what we want in our trading. And the last thing we want to do is have someone go, "Wow, look at this guy. He's a Christian. He's a trader. He's doing all this great." Yeah, but look at that prop firm he's with. Look how he passed his challenge. Look. So that's all I'm saying. Yes, a Christian can use a prop firm challenge in the same way that I believe that trading is not gambling, yet one can absolutely gamble while trading, right? Trading in and of itself is not gambling. But anytime you put money at risk, it can be gambling. You can pick the wrong college degree and flush $100,000 down the tube. That's gambling. Picking the wrong prop firm and using them incorrectly can lead to gambling. That's the last thing any of us want. So this ended up being kind of a cautionary tale. I did not mean for that at all. Look, guys, if you want to use prop firms, we've got a Discord channel. You can come in there and ask the various folks, "Hey, which prop firms do you like?" Someone put it in the comments. Someone put in the comments, Mr. Producer, the prop firm that they were with, and I saw it very blurrily over here in the sidebar and didn't see you pop it up. So if you could find that and pop it up for them, that would be great. Apex and Top Step are the 2 that I've heard of the most in the U.S. I think Apex is the one that uses futures, which are regulated. So they are perfectly in compliance with, Johnny says, Top 1, which I haven't heard of. Topone. It's Greek. I use Darwin X. FTMO is fine. The fivers are fine. There are some good ones out there. Just do your homework, but above all, keep it in perspective. As I have said, trading is the first step on our journey to setting our families free financially. And I love trading for that, because the skills that we learn as traders, coming up with a plan, being disciplined, implementing a plan, risk management, all of those skills are applicable to every other endeavor in life that we can use. Real estate, starting a business, all those things. and develop multiple streams of income. Well, fine. Apply that same multi-level income stream to your trading. Get a prop firm from a reputable company. Trade your own money. Once you get to the point where you feel comfortable, open up you can jump through some very, very small regulatory hoops and open up a family office where you and your cousin and your brother's money gets pulled together and you can trade their money. Understand the business model, not actually our skills or lack thereof. Yes, understand here's the business model. So keep it in its place. It is not the thing that you are going to be using to bless your family. Your commitment to trading in a way that honors God is what will bless your family. And a prop firm is just one of those tools. But one of the best pieces of advice I ever heard from someone, it says, here's what he's going to do. He's going to take every single prop firm payout and put it in his personal account. And then as soon as his personal account equals the amount from his prop firm, he's shutting it down and he's just trading his own money. He's just using prop firm as an accelerator. Just keep it in its place. Don't turn it into an idol. Don't let it pull you off course through various methods. There's the dog again. To trading in a way that is contrary. All of it comes down to praying before you take a trade. Pray before you enter into an agreement with the prop firm. Do not be unequally yoked. Now, that doesn't really apply with a company. There aren't any Christian prop firms out there, to my knowledge. So, having said that, guys, by the way, this weekend we will be recording, program note, we're going to be recording the triumphant return of me and the Next Generation version of the podcast. And if anyone ever saw me and the IT department doing our podcast, oh my goodness, at the rabbit chasing, it's hilarious. But also we have some people that we've reached out to and met that want to come share their testimony as being a Christian trader. So I'm really excited to start introducing the world to all those other people. And by the way, if you are in this chat and you want to be a guest on this podcast and come and show your face and speak in a conversation, I know Johnny just can't wait to be a guest on the podcast here.
Or even if you don't want to show your face.
Or even if you don't want to show your face, we can make one of those blinking avatars. I honestly do think that we, as iron sharpens iron, so one man sharpens the countenance of his friend. I think that we need to be our testimony, as a Christian trader. So if anybody here wants to come on the podcast, thanks Nick and Pepper, Face for Radio. Yes. What was that? Face for Radio and a voice for a blog. Anybody out there wants, sorry, the dog keeps doing this thing, wants to come on the podcast, I would love to hear more about everybody, or have everyone hear more about our stories there. You can reach out to us. If there's not a link in the description of this, there will be, hopefully by the time it gets to the replay. If you're on Instagram, apparently you can just reach out to yourself on Instagram. I don't know much about Instagram, to be honest. The IT department and the producer are in control of that. And anyway, we'll be back on Sunday evening with another Where is God When? And I'm kind of saving Where is God When I'm Successful. But I think this last one is Where is God When I'm Failing? This next one is going to be a copyright violation from VeggieTales. Where is God when I'm scared? Where is God when I am afraid in my trading? Whatever that means to you. So with that, guys, thank you all for being here, and I'll see you next time.